What is up, YouTubes? So I'm just doing a video today to show my take on the Harbor Freight roller bearing hack for the Quickjacks. So I got these Quickjack, I think they're the 7000 TLs, because I like Volkswagens, and so I have to work on my own stuff a lot just to be able to afford to keep them. But that said, some people have done some different videos on some solutions, because like if you look at these things are pretty heavy. I don't know if they're maybe 70 pounds each, something like that, 75 pounds each, in the neighborhood of that. Said pretty beefy. They slide okay on the concrete floor, but when you're trying to get them positioned under your car, it's annoying, because you want to get them just right, and you move one end and the other end kind of pushes out. So anyways, I was trying to decide between these two different Harbor Freight roller bearings to attach to either end of this, in order to make it, have just a little bit of gap here between the concrete and this base to make it easy to line up. So you have these little 5/8 inch options, or you have the 1 inch, and the 1 inch have weight capacity of 110 pounds each, but the way that I'm gonna do it, I'm looking at 4 of them. So I mean, really, the weight capacity is not really an issue, whereas these little 5/8 can basically do 55 pounds each is what they're rated for. But and the idea is to basically, if you look at either end of these, so essentially I need to find the happy place where okay, so just like that. I don't know if you guys can see this, but essentially just where I've wedged it under the leg, or the support right at that point, it's just barely lifting up. So now the whole thing kind of rolls a little bit. So anyway, that's the idea. Just have to find kind of the sweet spot to get just a little bit of lift. I don't want to increase the overall height so much that it actually affects the ability to lift a car. And if you look at the idea behind placing them here on these supports, and I'll just show you, like when I try and lift, when the jacks start to move up, the weight's going to come off those bearings. So those bearings are never going to actually be supporting the weight of a vehicle. It's literally just going to be supporting the weight of each individual jack itself. Here's where I'm going to maybe deviate a little bit from like what some other people have done. So I was thinking about this. Some people use like 3M tape. Some people use zip ties to affix these. I'm going to go with the 1 inch roller bearing option, because I really don't see how it makes a difference. Other than the fact that these stick out a little bit. So I just need to make sure it's positioned so that when this is coming up and down, that this is over enough so that it doesn't catch on this piece. But I think I want to go with the 1 inch, just because when you're dealing with like little, pieces of gravel and crap like that are always on the garage floor, at least in my garage, it's just easier to roll over it compared to something with, this little 5/8 that could maybe get caught up on a piece of sand easier. So anyway, what I'm gonna do though that's different is basically I'm gonna drill some holes on the underside of this, and I'm gonna rivet it. I'm not saying that's what anybody else should do, because these are basically load bearing parts of the jack. But the reason that I'm making the decision to go ahead and drill the holes in there is because if you look at when the Quickjack is actually supporting the vehicle after it's raised it initially, this is the bar that's actually providing the actual support that's holding up the vehicle. And if you look at the size of, you know, this bar, just even in relation to my finger, right, compared to one of these supports. So I don't know, my brain I think tells me that if a little hole that I'm gonna drill in this that's just the right size for a rivet here is enough to weaken that steel so much that it can't temporarily support the vehicle and it falls down, I guess it was my time to go. But honestly, I'm still not even taking chances. I personally like to put these little 6-ton jacks on the end after these are in the fully, you know, upright position, so that if they do fall, they fall on that jack and then they're still you know, not crushing me. So, but that's it. That's how I've made the decision to do what I'm gonna do. So let's, I guess, move on to getting some measurements, drilling some holes, and installing these things. All right, so I found a spot that I'm happy with, so I'm just gonna mark it with some tape. See if I can just feel. I'm gonna have to look down there. Actually, I think I'll just do this. Tape it right there where I'm happy with it for now. I think that's gonna be easier. Now that that's in position, I'm gonna flip this jack over. Ooh, a little spider on the tripod. All right. And so now I'm just gonna take a measurement. Let's see here. Something to write with. Right back. All right, so I switched over to this this little paint marker just so I could actually see my lines. So basically just, you know, measured over and then did some lines like this just to make sure I get them the same on both sides. So we'll see how this goes. Okay, so I got my lines redrawn again just so I could make sure I have this exactly the same on both sides. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold this down in place exactly where I want it, just so that while I'm drilling, you know, I know that it's in the right spot. So here we go. I'm taping down again. Okay, so for this 3/16 inch rivet, last time that I did a rivet, when I tried to use the exact same size, the rivet wouldn't actually go through. So this time I'm just going one up. So this is 13/64 for 3/16 rivet.
Okay, here goes. Okay, that didn't take long at all. Grab the vacuum. And real quick, we're just going to see. Yep, rivet goes in no problem. So we'll go ahead and take the tape off this piece. And see what that looks like. Yep. And there's the rivet. Alright, so next, see, I got this Harbor Freight rivet gun, it's Pittsburgh. It looks like I'm going to have to change out the tip real quick, so let me get this ready.
All right, so put the rivet, 3/16 inch rivet in, and I realize as I push this in here that there's not enough clearance between this rivet gun and the edge of this. Just by a little bit, there's not enough clearance. So what I did is I found this little nut. So I'm gonna see if this works and see if it can get me out of trouble. So basically I just slid that over the rivet, and then now I'm just gonna go back and try and rivet this thing in. So hopefully this works. All right, here we go, moment of truth. Hey, looked like it gave me the clearance I needed. So that little trick worked. I was worried for a second. So I'm just gonna flip this over real quick. Just make sure that where I've put this, that everything's still good to go before I do the other side. I'm not scared of the hole that I drilled in this rivet, but I don't want a whole bunch more. So I'll flip it over and check it out real quick, and then but that's pretty much how I'm going about installing these.
Alright, just have to flip it over. Yep, everything starts good. I don't think it raises up so much that I'm not going to be able to slide out of the car. So we're going to go ahead and get the other four down.
All right, I'm going to show you guys what happened to my next rivet because of that little trick where I basically used this nut as an extension. So basically, I had a little bit sticking out, and so essentially, and now it's happened twice, so it wasn't just like a fluke. So basically, what I did is I just took one of these. And I just cut this end off real quick. I could show you real quick what it looks like. Oh, tough with one hand, but that's it. I mean, the whole idea is just, the rivet just holds that in place instead of, a zip tie or whatever. So anyway, it works. I don't have a problem with it. But just if you guys do the same thing, either get a rivet gun that, fits, has the clearance, or just know that you might have to, cut those off or whatever. All right, so as things went along, what I decided to do instead of that, that little nut, so basically what I did is I just backed the threads out of the, on that little attachment. So it's probably not the best thing not to have too many threads, but basically for just the small number of rivets that I'm doing, I was able to just back that out some, and that gave me the clearance that I needed. And so now this tool's back to working just fine, and cutting the rivets off and pulling them out the right way. So anyway, that works. You don't even need the nut. All right, in case anybody's wondering, for this, I did the same measurement, 9 7/16 from this point to here to the yellow line on this side, and then the same thing over here on the other side, 9 7/16 from here to this yellow line, or you can't. All right, so here's what it looks like all finished up. And let's go roll it under the car. All right, so we got it all flipped over. So let's see if I can show you about how much clearance, you know, we have with the measurements that I used. So it's not a ton, and on this back side, it almost looks like there's nothing. But when you actually go to move it, so, you know, it's very easy for it to just slightly come up off the ground, and you can see, you know, even if it's just barely touching, it lifts up very, very easily. So very little resistance. So I'm just gonna, now, don't worry. We're going to the opposite side of the car here, you know, because we just got the one done for now. But you can see how easily I can just slide this thing. And yeah, so could not have done this before, right? So just one hand, super easy. And if you look at how much space I have, you know, I've got the tallest blocks on, and you know, this is, you know, it's got at least 1.5 inches, maybe 2 at the most, between the lift point and the top of the block on the back side. And it looks like I got just a little bit more room up front. So anyway, I think this mod's well worth it. Yeah, at this point, I would recommend. Thanks for watching.